Put it into this.
Welcome to Brett and Dave are bad at adopting.
We don't know that for sure. I mean, have you tried adopting?
Oh, no.
See, so you don't know?
Wait, no. Well, okay. How about this? Because there are some people out there that talk about, they have their fur babies that they adopted. Is that the same thing as adopting?
I have so many opinions about that. It's like you just birthed a Wookiee.
Oh, that's so gross.
Welcome back to Yes, We're Adopted. Don't make it weird. I'm still Dave-O. This is still Brett.
Hi, guys.
And we just talked about Wookiee birth.
It got weird and gross.
Never bring up fur babies in my presence because that is now the conversation. That is now the conversation we're going to have.
So, thank you guys for joining us. It has been 2 weeks. Last week he was at camp not riding horses because horses are jerks.
They are jerks.
Yeah, I got thrown off a horse once.
I just don't like them.
Just horses are jerks.
Not a big fan.
And I was producing the event with like hundreds of thousands of little kids, it felt like there. Hello, adoptive father. I'm filming right now. What's up?
It's rude to answer your phone during filming an adoption content.
Okay, will do. I need to call him back when this is done.
It's very important.
It's very important. What are we talking about today, Dave-O?
Well, we're going to tell some stories.
We're going to tell stories.
We're going to tell some stories. And
Tell me some stories.
The ultimate goal of the stories is the question, when is it okay to ask somebody or bring up details about whether or not they were adopted?
Yes. And then part 2, which we're going to do in one thing, is when did you feel comfortable about actually talking about adoption?
Why me and not you?
Because I'm always comfortable talking about everything.
Huh.
Except Wookiee birth. All right, Dave-O, tell us a story.
Okay, so we're at camp.
Okay.
I took my family to family camp this last week, which was in the Upper Peninsula. So we go up there, and it's a primarily white demographic, because that's pretty much most family camps, is at least my understanding, unless you're at culture camp, which still is mostly white families and their adopted Korean children.
Everywhere.
So, it's primarily a white demographic, and we're there, and there's a bunch of kids working, like teenagers and 18 to 25, working the week as counselors or staff or kitchen staff or whatever. They introduce themselves on Tuesday, and one of them is Asian.
Okay.
And he's got a white person's name, right? It was like...
Brett, Dave.
Yeah. I forget. It was like Kevin or something.
You know what, Gary.
Yeah.
Ben.
Any of those. choose that. And last name also, right?
Yeah.
So the last name to me is usually the indicator.
Right.
Because it's just usually the indicator,
It's not Kim.
Yeah, you might just call yourself by an Americanized name. I have a story about that too, but we won't talk about that right now. So I'm about 95% sure that this guy is adopted. He's from this area. He's from the Mitten, as it were. And I'm pretty sure it's a Christian camp, and all the demographics line up.
Wait, did he speak good English?
His English was excellent.
Okay.
And
that's important.
All the demographics line up, right? In even my experience, because I used to work at a camp,
right?
And I'm clearly adopted. Okay, so I was curious, and from my perspective, I've been there before. I know what it is, and so the question comes up, when is it okay to go up to somebody, at what point, how many factors have to come together for us to go up to somebody, anybody, to go up to someone and say, are you adopted? And so we went all week, and here's what I did. Nothing. Because the answer to that question is never. It's not okay. No. There is no scenario in which you as a person can go up to somebody that you think is it's worse than asking if somebody's pregnant. It's worse than bringing up whether or not talking about race issues or sexuality issues or any of these other issues. There's no common ground here, really, and you just can't assume. So the appropriate time to walk up to somebody that you're pretty sure is adopted and ask them anything along those lines is never.
You don't go up to them like, hey, so did your birth mother not want you either?
I mean, I have a whole list that we could have gone through.
Hey, you speak pretty good English.
English is fantastic.
You're not white, so...
How's that going?
Yeah.
There's no way to broach that subject.
Nah, it's awkward.
And I'm clearly adopted, and and I know these things, but I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not.
Right.
That is not going to happen. And if you think at any point that it might be a good idea to go and ask somebody if they are in fact adopted, the answer is no.
No. Okay, with that being said, when was the first time, or how old about were you, or the maturity level or anything, did you feel comfortable answering the question, hey, are you adopted? Because it comes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know that. People have come up to us and just asked us, hey, are you adopted? Because you're obviously Asian. Your eyes do this instead of this. I'm pretty sure that is like the indicator.
That's usually...
It's not this, it's this.
It's exactly how people
I
bring it.
literally had a kid that I just met for the first time. He's working behind the counter of Tim Hortons, and my friend introduces me to him. He's like, hey, this is my friend Brett. And he walks out and he does this. Hang on. He walks out and does this. I don't know the guy. I don't know him at all, and that is my very first impression.
That's just racist.
Yeah, but we became friends afterwards.
Okay, so we've talked about this before, that at some point there's a level of intimacy that comes up with people that you can talk about or bring up things without having a big issue. And racially, that's been a lot easier for us, right? So like we'll talk about being Asian with people that we're friends with,
all the time.
You know, and do those sorts of things because we can. But if we don't have that level of intimacy, you don't have license to talk about that with me.
But at what point did you start feeling comfortable answering those questions?
The answer to that is also never. Like there's no time when somebody walks up and is like, "Hey, adopted?" Yeah, and you're like, yeah.
I am, buddy.
Totally.
Thanks for noticing.
I'm ready to answer. Let's just like, and it's
been
not
waiting for
it's
somebody
not
to
a
ask.
conversation starter. It's just it's an observation, right? That is just looking for confirmation, and I don't know you, so that's not going to happen. Now the flip side of that is that as I've gotten older, probably when I was about late 20s or so, early 30s, I've come to a point now where it's actually compulsory for me to explain it. Yep. Right? So you meet somebody for the first time and you tell them your full name. And you see the visible lines of confusion occur. Right. Like, you know, hi everyone, I'm Brett Carlton. You're Brett what? Like, Brett is fine.
You ain't German.
They'll just be like...
Brett is not fine. You know what Brett means? From Britain.
Yeah.
That's literally what Brett means. There is no other definition.
Isn't that where you're from?
From Britain.
But you're British, though.
It's great.
People will accept your first name. Yeah. You give them the last name, and they look at you and they go,
how do you pronounce that in your culture?
And in a lot of cases, I personally feel compelled to explain it.
Right.
So I'll go off and say, you know, yeah, everybody calls me Dave O. My last name is Overholser. No one wants to say that. Right. Here's my full name. I actually had this conversation with my meeting the other day, and here it is. I was adopted when I was 3 months old. It's really none of your business, and there are parts of me that want to just kind of let that sit there.
Right. Just get it out.
Right. You're confused.
See what happens.
I see that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything to alleviate your confusion.
Yeah, good luck.
I've gotten a lot more tolerant, I think. I don't know if this is true of you, but I've gotten a lot more tolerant answering that question or feeling like I just am going to explain it. It's going to come up. I might as well get it out of the way. Maybe in my 30s. In the last 5 to 7 years. Okay. And a lot of that has had to do with just educating myself about what's really going on and coming to a self-confidence level of I know a lot about adoption from a lot of different facets. And I'm kind of an expert on that now. And so, for me to explain it can be very clinical.
I've had people come up to me and ask that question, though, a few times.
It's
it usually happens after seeing who my parents are.
Sure.
You know, because I don't know what it is about people. Like, they just can't assume that I am adopted after they see my very, very white parents.
Your parents are really white.
And they just, they go, so, you're adopted, right? I'm just like...
So what?
Nah.
What happened here?
I just got really tan over the summer, just looking good. I got some surgery on my eyes, you know.
You gotta get outside more, man.
I don't want to. But I mean, you know, like people would ask me that in high school too. Like my friends would ask me that in high school, or my classmates that I never wanted to talk to.
Right.
You know, they'd be like, so, you know, like, are you adopted? Because it's either adopted or a forward exchange student, and especially where I'm from, because I was the only Asian in school. So people would ask me a lot, like, hey, where are you from? Are you adopted? You know, because, you know, you're not from here. How do you know that? What if my parents are Korean and we just moved to Michigan and I was born and raised here and then I have this incredible Michigan accent or I say "ope" all the time? So, but I mean, you know, people would just ask me, and instead of assuming something, they would be genuinely curious or nosy.
Sure.
To the point where they're just like, they're gonna blurt it out. Hey, you adopted.
Right.
So I got kind of comfortable with that pretty early on. People asking me, the emotional side, you know, I was still working things out during that time, right?
Sure.
You know, like high school is when I started emotionally becoming okay with being adopted and everything that meant. You know, like I don't know my legacy, I don't know my family history, the medical side of things, and all this other stuff. And so coming to terms in high school with that was super helpful for me, because then when people ask me those questions, I didn't feel like it was a personal attack or anything any longer. I just thought, you know, people were curious about me, and I'm a curious kind of guy. So, you know, yeah.
There's a weird dead zone kind of in between like 19 and 24, where you're in college or whatever, like just that kind of age range where it just doesn't come up.
Right, no, it doesn't ever.
Like nobody brings up anything about it.
Dude, young adults just don't want to ask questions.
They don't want to ask questions, and really they don't really care. I mean,
That's true, too.
I don't particularly remember caring very much about stuff.
It's because you're trying to find yourself at that moment.
We should have gone backpacking through Europe. Dang it.
So, thank you for joining us today on Yes, We're Adopted. Don't make it weird. We're glad to be back. It was kind of weird having a week off and not talking about things in front of the camera right here. It's kind of weird not doing it every week. We've had this channel for a year now. So if you haven't watched our old stuff, go back through and watch it all. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our Facebook page. Dude, we're all over the place now.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere now. So make sure that you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. Put your comments down below. Tell us your stories on what you think about today's subject. Are you really uncomfortable or awkward when people ask you about adoption? Or are you that strange person that just goes up and points it out to people? Hey, you're adopted! If so, don't do that.
I don't think those people are probably watching this channel.
I hope they do.
Maybe they are.
Give them some cards, man. Make some cards.
I'm gonna make some cards.
Get it out there.
Have graphics get working on that.
Graphics! Graphics!
We have a person here named Graphics.
Hey, Graphics, get working on that.